What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network. Listen, Dynamite, like I said, from a wrestling and in-ring perspective, is what I expected. Is like, listen, just good wrestling matches. Then just a bunch of teams thrown together, and random stuff throughout the show. But I seriously, maybe there's been other couple of times during AEW shows where I've found myself looking around, going, "What the fuck." I had this, audibly multiple times during this show because of match announcements for Forbidden Door. And the one that really, just dumbfounded me was one that they really built throughout the August 13th edition of this show from Cincinnati, where what we thought we were getting coming out of last week's show was that Darby Allin was going to face Jon Moxley. That seemed like was the direction we were going. I thought that was rushed. And I think that this whole show is just like, forced and, completely out of nowhere. So Kevin Knight faces Jon Moxley in a match in Jon Moxley's hometown of Cincinnati. Cool for Jon Moxley. It was a good match. Kevin Knight had a good showing, but it's not going to matter because Jon Moxley beat him, tapped him out, forced him to tap out. And then everything that happened after, really rendered the whole thing useless. And it's just like it was a vehicle for Jon Moxley just to be on television and wrestle. We didn't need to see it. So after the match, Darby Allin comes in. He starts attacking the Death Riders. Darby puts Wheeler in the body bag again. He goes for the coffin drop. Claudio attacks him, puts Darby in the body bag. And, they're beating up on him. They're about to break his neck again, effectively kayfabe, with the chair that they've done with multiple people. And, basically what happens is, hey, Will Ospreay is back 3 weeks after basically telling the world, hey, I have 2 herniated discs in my neck and I may not make Forbidden Door. Hey, just kidding. I'm fine. Let's do a lights out steel cage match with your friends and my friends. So we didn't know what that meant. Get through the rest of the night. Will Ospreay says, hey, part of my team, we still didn't know what the teams were. One of my members is Hiroshi Tanahashi, legend, but near the end of his career with bad knees. And, we don't know what he can really give. So we know now, hey, 3-on-3 tag. That's at least what we know for right now. Then Jon Moxley goes and visits the Jobber Young Bucks, a really entertaining part of the show, but they just lost their EVP titles. What do they have to offer Jon Moxley? I don't get that. So, hey, we're throwing them in. And then before the main event between the Ops, by the way, it's good to see Samoa Joe back, but he also had his neck broken at All in Texas a month ago. So he's back on television. And so before that main event, Tony Schiavone makes a couple of announcements. And basically one of them was Cope and Christian, which I've talked about on this channel. They're teaming up against Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian. Whatever. I think the Cope and Christian reunion's been rushed. And then you get the 5-on-5 match where it's going to be the Death Riders, which is going to consist of, the Mercenary, Gabe Kidd. You've got Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli and the Young Bucks taking on the team of Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and then get this, Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega. What? I audibly was like, what the fuck? You guys just made Kenny Omega's return in a graphic? Are you kidding me? Kenny Omega, the guy who just lost his international championship and has been off television for a month. That Kenny Omega. You're going to make this a 10-man tag. You're going to make this a 5-on-5 steel cage match, effectively what a War Games or a Blood and Guts. You're just going to throw these guys into a steel cage, one of whom has neck issues. Kenny Omega had career-threatening issues that kept him out most of last year. He just came back. And, you don't even drum up his return for any drama. Darby and Mox should be a one-on-one match. Instead, we're doing chaos for the sake of doing chaos. Like, I could not believe this. Hiroshi Tanahashi, what the fuck does he have to do with this? What the fuck does Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi have to do with this? Kenny Omega moved off of that to go face Okada. Like, that was 3 months ago. So if you want to tell me that Kenny Omega, he teamed up against the Death Rider, yeah, that was 3 months ago. I know he's got history with the Young Bucks. Really? He hasn't given a shit about that for 3 months. He just lost his championship that he held since freaking March. And he's going in there? Tanahashi, you needed somebody in there to be Forbidden Door, I guess. Will Ospreay, 3 weeks ago, we thought his career might be over. All of a sudden, he's back. I'm not a doctor. That doesn't seem like a good idea to throw somebody with a neck issue into a fucking 10-person steel cage match. How the hell is this even going to work out? How are you going to fit all 10 of these people in the fucking match? Tanahashi's older. He can't move. I get he's a legend. Holy mackerel, this drove me mad. This drove me fucking mad. And the most infuriating part about this whole thing is Kenny Omega is supposed to be one of your aces of this company. One of the preeminent stars. Everybody, best bout machine, right? Right? Just had another match with one of his career rivals. He doesn't even bother to care about that. We're just booking him in there. He doesn't even get to return or get his return hyped up to come back. Just a month later, hey, we need an extra guy for a 10-person steel cage match. That's it? This is what this company resorts to. They resort to short-term booking rather than long-term and speeding up storylines. And also, why does Kenny Omega need to be in this match? He'd be better. The main event scene in this company is so fucking screwed up. Like, you got Swerve Strickland. He was supposed to be teaming with Will Ospreay. That didn't happen. Now Ospreay's just off in the abyss. Okada's facing Swerve. Omega's in this match. It's like, I don't know what the logic is here. Everybody in the sickos will be loving this shit because it'll be just pure, just freaking chaos. But what meaning is there to this? This story was about Darby and Mox, and it turned into a 10-person steel cage match. How did we get there in a week? How? Somebody tell me in the comments. Somebody tell me on Twitter. Because if you're a sicko, you love this crap. But I have no earthly idea how this accomplishes anything storyline-wise. I get it. Ospreay's got issues with the Death Riders because they tried to take him out. Make it a tag. Make it a tag. Even then, it still doesn't make any sense because Will Ospreay 3 weeks ago on national television told all of us that he has herniated discs in his neck. It sounded like his career could be over. 3 weeks later, he's fine. I do not understand this company whatsoever. Like, the wrestling matches for the sake of wrestling matches, that's whatever. That's what they do. But when you do shit like this and rush matches or just force matches on pay-per-view, it makes you look desperate. You already had a good house at the O2. It's going to be a great crowd in London. London is a great crowd for them. It'll be a great atmosphere. Why'd you need to do this? Why? I don't understand it. I really don't get it. Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.